It's a wonderful Wednesday indeed. I was telling folks it's so nice to have these meetings now with the sun out and it possibly still out when we're finishing up. It feels refreshing. Good to see everyone trickling in. Welcome. Happy April. Happy April 1st, April Fool's Day. Happy Wednesday. We'll give it a couple minutes for folks to roll in, so feel free to get comfortable, grab water. But it's good to see everybody. Happy Wednesday, everyone. We're going to give it a couple more minutes for folks to trickle in. I see Tanisha's hopping on. Debbie, welcome. Florence, welcome. I see your folks from the port. Welcome. Happy Wednesday, everybody.
Happy Wednesday, Dr. Farrell.
Hi, Dr. Farrell. Happy Wednesday. It's good to see you. If you're already on and have not, feel free to start changing your name to the naming convention on the slides. Helps us keep track and track attendance. But welcome, everybody. We'll give it a couple more minutes to see who's hopping on. Sarah, what you think? You think give it maybe another minute, or you think we're good to start?
Let's give it another minute.
Oh, sounds good.
See if we have, oh, here we go, another person. Yeah, maybe just another minute.
Well, Heather, while we're waiting here, Cassandra sent me over those flyers. And, I had hoped so much, that I would get like a contact because, they were in the office, just left it for her, and so it's like you kind of go out there with your heart in your hand, a little bit. And anyway, so I'll be working on those. In a little bit. I had a bunch of meetings this last week. So
That's awesome, Mary Elizabeth. Thank you for that update. And yes, we get a little bit vulnerable, don't we?
yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think we can go ahead and get started. Um, Welcome, everybody. It is good to see you all. Happy Wednesday. Happy April. The sun is out. I've heard it's cooled down a little bit in Stockton, but welcome to your 70th CSC meeting. We hope everyone is taking care of themselves and easing into spring. My name is Jared Zachary, and I'm joined by my colleague Amy Ramos, and we're thrilled to be facilitating tonight's CSC meeting. Before we dive in, I'll briefly walk through how we'll spend our time together tonight. Tonight's meeting will be an update from Little Manila Rising on urban greening and vegetative barriers, followed by a presentation from the Air District on future opportunities for residential CERT measures. Before moving into content, we'll start with a quick refresher on meeting logistics. While this is familiar to many of us, it's always helpful to ground ourselves for an efficient meeting. So again, you can join by phone or audio. So if you want to join by phone, you will click the caret on the unmute button and switch to phone audio. You'll then press phone call or call me and enter in your phone number. And then again, as a reminder, please remember to update your screen name. To change your screen name, click on the top right side of your picture or video. CSC members should use the convention CSC first name, last name. You should use a R if you are a CSC member and a resident. All other participants can use first, last, and their affiliation, such as Jake Smith, AD. If you need any help, please type in the chat and someone from the Air District or Harder and Company will help you out. Also, as a reminder, having the right screen name helps us with attendance tracking, so we really appreciate it. Again, some virtual meeting etiquette. We ask that everyone stay on mute unless you are speaking. If you're joined by phone, you can use *6. Please raise your blue Zoom hand to ask a question during the presentation or Q&A. If by phone, you'll use *9. And then for residents in the stipend program, you should stay for at least 75% of the meeting to be eligible for a stipend. And so if we went for the whole 2 hours, that would be 90 minutes. We always aim to have a productive discussion and be respectful in our dialogue. And so we always want to focus on solutions and opportunities to help achieve the meeting goals. Let everyone participate by stepping up and stepping back. Be civil and respectful. It's okay to disagree, but please be respectful and empathetic. We want to stay on point and on time, and so we ask that folks keep their comments brief and to the point. We want to respect everyone and attack the problem, not the person, really striving to honor everyone's personhood, humanity, and dignity. And then we want to seek common ground. Everyone is here for the same goal of improving the air quality, and so we want to build consensus and find shared values to help achieve the best results. So for tonight's agenda, we are currently in welcome and introductions. We then will hear from Little Manila Rising from urban greening and vegetative barriers. We'll hear from the Air District on opportunities for residential CERT measures. And then we'll close out with our typical items of standing updates, wrap up next steps, and public comment. And so before we transition to our next agenda item, I will pass to Sarah to open us up with welcoming remarks.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight for our 70th CSC meeting. As Jared mentioned, we're excited to bring you some updates from Little Manila Rising, some upcoming tree planting events, and excited to share some updates on some of our CERP measures that we are actively working through and doing outreach on. So just excited for a good meeting tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, it's great to see everybody. And I think we are able to transition to our next agenda item, which typically would be reviewing the action items tracker. As a reminder, we've shifted our approach to highlight action items that are currently in progress and not directly related to today's meeting agenda. At last month's meeting, it was a successful meeting of you all building consensus on funding reallocation, and there were no new action items that were being tracked. And so with no new action items, we can actually move on to our next agenda item. So right now, I know Nico will be giving us a presentation from Little Manila Rising. I think he is running a few minutes late. And so we'll see if Sarah, if you think we should switch the order right now.
Yeah, let me give him a call really quickly. I'll be right back.
In the meantime, in lieu of action items, I'm wondering if there's any welcoming or opening remarks folks would like to make. It's good to see everyone. Happy spring.
This is Margot. Yeah. Happy spring to everybody. It's a beautiful day outside. I was just wondering if were we going to plan one more in-person meeting before the end of our stint?
Hi, Margot. This is Sarah. Yes, we are actually planning an in-person meeting for next month. That will be May 6th. And we put in an application to have it at the Civic Center. They're still processing our application, so it's not set in stone yet, but we're hoping that they can confirm that date and that location soon. Once they do, or once we lock down a location, we'll send out an email to everyone inviting you all. And it'll be the same time. Well, actually, it'll be a little earlier because we have dinner. So like 4:30 p.m. to like 7 p.m.
Thank you.
And I did hear from Nico. He said that he will be joining us at 5:20. So in just a couple minutes, I was thinking we can go through our standing updates right now from the district since we do have a couple. I think Rocio, you can start us off by talking about the in-person meeting.
Yes, of course. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday. So as Sarah just mentioned, we will be having our meeting next month on May 6th, and it will be in person. And we did actually just receive the contract from the Civic Center a few minutes ago, so not too long ago. So I can confirm that it will be taking place there.
Oh,
And
yay.
then, yes,
Perfect.
and I know at this location there was a few CSC meetings a few years ago, so we'll be returning to this location. One thing that I did want to ask is if there's any suggestions that anyone has on restaurants, since we're still working right now to place an order for dinner. There was a few suggestions that the CSC members had shared with us, so maybe I can share those with you all, and if you have any preferences or if there's any in addition to that, we'll be more than happy to take a look. But as of right now, we have Peachy's Food to Go. And this is a Filipino fusion, which we also actually went there, I believe it was 2 years ago when we had the in-person meeting at the port. Another one that was recommended was Nena's Mexican Cuisine. And then we also have Kebab and Gyro House. So if any of these three sound like an option that you would like to have, please let me know. Or if there's any other ones that I didn't just mention, feel free to share those with me as well. And then Mary, I see your hand is up.
Thank you. You know, we started off the first meeting that we had at the Civic Center on the North, you know, like back in 2020, and it was also Filipino. So I vote for that. Yeah. That was the good one. I think even that one might have been the best one, to tell you the truth. Yeah.
Thank you for that feedback. And I'm wondering if this place was Papa Herbs because we went there last year and I think that might have been a location. It was before my time when I joined the team. But we did hear, we're so sad to see that they closed down recently, it looks like. But Peachy's is another option to go for the Filipino food. So thank you for sharing that feedback.
Yeah, thank you for that update, Rocio. And yeah, feel free to leave. I see some feedback in the chat about food, about that sounding like a good idea. Um, but yeah, continue to type in the chat any opinions on those options. I can pass it to see if we have anyone from Carb here tonight to make any standing updates.
Hey, Jared, I think Heather has one more update from us.
I do have one for us. Didn't want to interrupt you, Jared. So many wonderful things going on, everyone. Nice to see you all. This is Heather. Good news, Mary Elizabeth. In the back part of our building here, we have a whole bunch of air purifiers. And those are going to be going with us in full force to upcoming events. I may have mentioned last time, I'm going to mention it again. Hopefully we can see you guys out there. April 18th will be at Edible Schoolyard. Thanks to Margot for that reference. And we've kind of been reaching out to them, and we're like chomping at the bit, getting them moving along on that event too. So that was grand. The next day is the Stockton Earth Day, and we'll be there as well. And then we're probably going to be at a school in just a couple of weeks. And at each of these opportunities, we will be taking physical purifiers with us. Yeah. Thank you for that excitement, Mary Elizabeth. That makes us feel good. But we're eager to get them into, into the hands of the residents. And then, of course, if the supply on hand for that particular event runs out, we definitely can sign folks up, get them units. Start the energy with a physical unit sitting up there, and draw some attention, and hopefully also get online signups in the same vein. Yay!
Yay, thank you, Heather. And yes, love the excitement, Mary Elizabeth. Thank you for being really a champion for all that. It's much
Agreed.
appreciated. Is there anyone from CARB that would like to make a standing update this evening? Not seeing any.
Well, I could make one for the AB617 convening committee. So we met last week in Sacramento and worked through the charter. And then at our next meeting, there's an ad hoc group that's going to be working on developing a work plan. And I got on that group. So that'll be through June. What are the topics? And it's all about updating the blueprint and, informing, the next group that's going to be working with this. And something really exciting that I learned about is that they have local SERPs. They're calling them L SERPs, local SERPs. And Kevin, Hamilton, sorry, Kevin Hamilton, he has been, a warrior for clean air, and he has a medical background in respiratory therapy. And so he got this SERP working in different communities. And I'd like us to learn more about that so that we can, when we're finished with this formal process, that we can continue to work for clean air in Stockton. So and I said all the same there. Yeah. And thank you.
Yes, thank you for that update, Mary Elizabeth, and your participation. And Heather linked the what Mary Elizabeth is talking about in the chat if you want to check it out. So thank you as well. And then I can pass it to the Port of Stockton. Do you have any updates you would like to share with us this evening?
Yes, we can share. Julia, feel free to chime in on any of these that we need to elaborate on. Recently, we did have, in early March, we had a ribbon cutting for one of our tenants, Yara North America, and they have installed enough solar to power their facility there. So they are a net zero operator at the port. So we're very excited for that. So some of the folks here were able to come out. So thanks for Little Manila for coming out to that. And then we've actually been able to build on some of that with Little Manila. So it's been good. And then we had about 20 students from the Global Logistics Pathway at Weston Ranch out for a tour last week. They were very energetic and excited to come and see the port. And then we're going to be volunteering at the Edible Schoolyard on April 11th from 9 to noon. We'll be helping them prep the farm for their Spring Fling Festival, which is then on April 18th.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And then, so we'd like to, invite everybody here to come out and join us. We'll have tools provided and everything. And so it should be a really fun event too. And then our Port Outreach Committee meeting it will be pushed back this month. Typically, it's the third Wednesday. This week, it's going to be the fourth because we've got actually Julia Ohm, who you guys all know. She got chosen as the outstanding student in her master's program. So yes, she's got to go to be present for a ceremony. So we're going to push it back 1 week. So that will be on April 22nd. And then we'll be out at Earth Day as well on 4/19. So maybe we'll be seeing everybody for a couple weekends there. And then we've really been working hard on our EPA Clean Port grant. So we've been grinding away. We should start to see ordering of equipment, hopefully in the not too distant future. And we have also been excited to work with CCTC to get the power over to their facility for the chargers for the zero emission locomotives that we approved the last meeting. And then the only other thing, we've got the golf tournament coming up on June 8th. If you're interested in volunteering, please reach out to us. We would love to have you there. And that's all I have for today. Julia, was there anything else we missed?
No, you've got it all covered. Great.
Great. Any questions? Mary Elizabeth.
Hi. I was wondering, on the outreach, the public participation with regard to the clean air grant.
Mhm.
Is there going to be, I missed your talk on that. I had another meeting. And so I'm wondering, is there going to be a community-wide notification, for everyone in the community to
Yes.
learn about it? Some, big press release so that, in a big meeting where people can come and ask questions and learn about it.
Yes, there's a few things in the works, but that is definitely one of them. So far, we've just really been trying to get all the paperwork out of the way, but we got all that worked out. So yes, the community aspect of it, we're actually going to utilize some of the feedback. Hopefully, you all were able to provide in our community survey. But yes, Mary Elizabeth, there will be a huge kickoff for the community aspect of the Clean Ports project that will be open to everybody within Stockton. So yeah, more to come on that. That grant is a lot to handle, but we're gonna make it work. Anybody else? All right. Well, thank you all very much.
Thank you, Jeff. And yeah, congratulations again, Julia, and thank you for that question, Mary Elizabeth. Brian, I saw that you hopped on, wanted to pause and just see if there was any updates from CARB before transitioning.
Oh, sure. Yeah, sorry I'm a little late, everyone. The biggest update at CARB is that this past week we had and Mary Elizabeth may have mentioned it, we had our consultation group meeting, which is our multi-stakeholder group. It went real great. We were able to get the charter approved by the committee, which is awesome. And they're going to start working on their work plan moving forward. And the other just quick announcement I have is we actually have new staff at CARB. Sarah Sullivan, I believe she's listening on this call. Today was her first day, so she's just listening in. She has a tons of experience. She worked at US EPA Region 9. We're super excited to have her on board. So she'll be helping out as Stockton is moving through their SERP moving forward. So I'll do a more formal introduction when she gets more set up at work and has all her credentials there and can access all our file system. But yeah, this was her first day and she's on our way back to the Bay Area, listening on Amtrak. So I just wanted to do a quick introduction, and you'll see she may be chatting, but I'm not sure if she can talk right now.
Thank you, Brian, and welcome, Sarah. We're happy to have you and appreciate you hopping on in transit. Much appreciated. Before we transition to our first presentation, are there any other agencies on that would like to give an update? So I'm not seeing anything in,
sorry.
apologies.
I just wanted to reintroduce myself. I'm not sure when the last time we had staff available to be here with you all, but my name is Christine Corrales. I'm the planning manager here at San Joaquin Council of Governments, and mostly here to just listen and look for ways to partner on implementation. And I'll bring more updates in the future.
Thank you, Christine. Welcome and welcome back. Good to see you. So we're not seeing any other updates. I see that Nico is online and I see other folks from Little Manila Rising. So welcome everybody. I think we are ready for our first presentation of the night. And so as a refresher for everyone, last year the CSC approved funding for Little Manila Rising to move forward with 2 projects for urban greening and vegetative barriers. And Nico has been attending meetings periodically to provide us updates. While there are various planting projects in the city of Stockton, Nico is here to provide updates on 2 specific AB617 funded projects. As Nico presents, we encourage you all to ask questions in the chat, raise your Zoom hand, or unmute yourself and ask your question. And with that, I will pass it over to Nico.
Thank you, Jared. Good evening, everybody. Nice to be in space with you again. I'm Nicholas Tama. I'm the Urban Forestry Director here at Little Manila Rising. I'm responsible for overseeing all of our tree planting initiatives and grants and speaking with you all about our progress. So I do have a short slide deck that I want to present to you guys. We'll have updates about our urban greening project and our vegetated barriers project. And feel free to put your questions in the chat. I'll try to keep an eye on it. And then we'll definitely have time for Q&A. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen really quick. And I'm going to make this a slideshow. All right. So let me move this out of the way. All right. So I'm going to start with some updates on our urban greening project. In the last few months, we've been mainly focusing on completing site assessments and planning for a handful of residential planting sites. These plantings are completed through our My Free Tree program, which is the way that residents or property owners, it doesn't have to be a residential property. It can be a commercial property. It can be a church. That's how folks reach out to us to get trees planted on their property. I'll have a QR code at the end of this if you're curious to like engage with us in this process. But we completed 4 different properties for a total of 8 trees. And no, it doesn't sound like a big number, but it's actually a pretty big lift to do the process and eventually get a tree planted on somebody's property. The process starts with that initial outreach to the property owner. We schedule a site assessment with our community foresters and our trust builders. They go out, they take photos of the site, they get a sense of where the trees can be planted on the property and also where the property owner wants to have trees planted. And then we create a planting plan with all of that information in mind. Because we're planting on private property, we're not limited by any approved species list by like the city of Stockton or the county. We have some flexibility to work with like what the resident is wanting. And then we make a recommendation with what they want and also what we know will be suitable for their site. So we follow right tree, right place planning principles when we're doing any planting plan. This back and forth can take anywhere from like a week to 2 or 3 weeks, depending on like how like readily we can schedule these times with people like within their work schedule, like life gets in the way. We kind of just work at the pace that any property owner is wanting to engage with us. And so it can be lengthy to get even just a handful of trees planted through our program. But we got 8 trees planted. And we're in the process of getting 4 more properties through the process. And we're kind of at different stages with each of them. And that would probably double our tree count for this project. We need folks to outreach to us, like reach out to us to begin that process. We have our staff go out and table a lot and advertise this program. But we really can't plant on someone's property unless they agree to it. That's the kind of challenge with this project because we didn't get the city on board with working with us, which I'll get into a little later. It limits where we can plant because we can't plant on planting strips for this project right now. Those are city right of way, and we do not want to plant trees that the city then will disregard or not acknowledge as part of their city inventory. We're really mindful of that, and so right now we're sort of limited to front yards and backyards for this project. That's going to change, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But I also just wanted to give an update that we do have a date for our official planting kickoff for this project. We are in the process of finalizing a site, but we do have the save the date for April 25th, 2026. So uh, a little a little less than a month from now. But we will hopefully have finalized details in the coming weeks. Second. And these are just some photos that we've taken of like the trees that we've planted in people's backyards. This is Alex Flores. He's one of the community forestry technicians that is funded by this project. He is a graduate of our Green Paths training program. So he it was had never done tree work before. He was a former plumber, originally from Stockton, moved to Tracy, and wanted to make connections back into this community. He's originally from South Stockton, and he trained in our program, and we were able to offer him employment, full-time employment as a forestry technician through this grant. And so, really awesome to see the work that he and others who are funded through this project are able to do. He's on track now to become a certified arborist. You know, that's something that we're working with him towards. So a really great example of this money kind of being put into the community and investing in people from our community to find careers in an industry that really didn't have doors in South Stockton before this project existed. So I definitely want to start to weave in and show you guys the staff that have had the opportunity to start careers in urban forestry because of these dollars. They're really more important to the work than I am because I'm no longer planting trees. I'm just working at a desk at this point. So, you know, these are the folks that are going to be interacting with you if you work with us on a tree planting. Um, so I talked a little bit about the challenges with the city. The city, when we talked to them about collaborating with us on the AB617 project and really any subsequent grant once TCC ends, really came down to their procurement process in that they have set parameters for landscape work and contractors who have a contractor's license. We do not have a contractor's license, and we cannot realistically get a contractor's license within this project's timeline. So we've had to pivot. We've, you know, been a little slower going because we're mainly focused on residential tree plantings because that's your property. We can work with you. But we've had to then find who are the agencies in this area that want to work with us. We were able to make a connection with Ashika Lal, who's the San Joaquin County Parks and Recreation Parks Administrator, and we found a partner in them who is willing to work with us where we're at as an organization, is really wanting to invest in their properties in South Stockton. They're in the process of doing a 10-year plan for their Parks and Recreation Department and all of the land holdings that they have. Tree planting and activating the parks through planting events is a big priority for her. So it really aligned. and we're in the process of finalizing an independent contractor agreement with them to plant trees for this project and our CAL FIRE funded trees across the county parks and properties. That's huge for us. Those parks need investment. They need to be better utilized. If we can put some of these trees in those parks and get community members to them, it feels like a really productive use of the funds. But it doesn't mean that we're only going to plant the trees, all of the 500 trees for this project in county property. We still expect to plant the majority of our trees on residential property and in among our more like commuter areas. And I also just want to say that as part of this agreement, we're not receiving any compensation from San Joaquin County. Our staff time, the trees, the supplies are all considered in-kind offerings from LMR. So they're really just giving us access to their land to do grant-funded work. I think maybe that's probably, I assume there's maybe questions about that. Maybe I'll just pause really quickly to see if anybody does have questions specifically around like the San Joaquin County Parks and Rec partnership.
So Nico, this is Margot. I can't
Hi,
find.
Margot.
So you have Kennedy Park, Taft Park, and Boggs Track. Those are all possible locations under this program?
Yes, and not the only ones, but those are when I looked at their GIS map, those are the three parks that are in the AB617 area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're still working the city. You know, I'm still having conversations with them. I hope that we can, before this project ends, you know, get some of these trees on city right of way and in the city parks. But, you know, my job is to make sure that we use these funds and get trees planted. And if they can go in the county parks, I'm gonna make that choice because the last thing I'd want to do is not spend the money on trees, and then we lose that investment. I want to work with the entities that want to work with us and understand the challenges that our community, you know, has in implementing projects like this, and can see the benefit, the net benefit of a partnership. So I've been feeling really optimistic about working with the county, and I feel like, you know, I haven't spent a ton of time in any of these parks, but I get the sense that they're underutilized. And I think that the county parks leadership feels the same way. So it feels like a really productive and hopeful relationship. And I'm also really curious to see how all of you feel about it. You know, we're gonna do what we think is right for this project, but I need to be informed by you guys if this is going to be truly a community forestry effort. So, yeah, I would love to hear what you guys think. If there are sites that you're curious about, maybe we could prioritize with the county. Um, I'm also down to listen.
Mary Elizabeth, I see you have your hand raised.
Yeah, thanks. So I had a question. What about the like institutional locations, you know, like schools
Yeah.
or you know, some big employer, you know, someplace or even the port, you know, I know, you know, there was effort, you know, on the for the open stockpiles, you know, to have some kind of dust barriers, you
Hmm.
know, and what about those other, you know, like large land masses?
Yeah. Those are still a priority. Like we're we've been able to get a better sense of how to work with the school district, how to work with specific school sites. That process is slower, but it is something we're still working through, and we've been able to make inroads with our partnership with Stockton Service Corps because they activate students a lot, and they're getting students from these schools out to community events. We were really leaning into that partnership to help us frame the work that we want to do at these schools. But it's slower. So I hope that in like maybe the next CSC or even the one in maybe even like June, we would have more updates on potential school sites. But it's definitely still a priority. We do kind of have a strategy for reaching out to like sources of pollution through our vegetative barrier project. I think the big challenge that I've run into with like businesses and warehouses is they're in areas where there are no planting sites. Like there are no wells, no strips, and that makes it really difficult to engage with the businesses. But absolutely, there's still priorities. We've just been able to move the ball further along with San Joaquin County. All right. Well, I'm gonna keep going. These three parks are definitely we're gonna plant at these parks for sure. And then we're gonna work with them on any other properties that, you know, are in our area that we could add trees to. I still think that 40 to 50% of this project's trees need to go in the community, not just in the parks. I think as a whole, we've like approached urban forestry funds such as TCC, which I've worked on since the beginning of the project. You know, we don't have a cohesive strategy for reforesting Stockton yet. And so what tends to happen is we look at our parks as like that's where we can plant trees. You know, the parks need trees. We don't have a cohesive strategy for street plantings. So let's get them all in the parks, and then we can meet our grant deliverables. I think that that's problematic, and I don't want to approach this project in that way. We already are funded through TCC to plant at most of the city parks in South Stockton. I want most of these trees to go in our neighborhoods to shade our neighborhoods. So a handful of them will go into the parks, but more than 50, I would say 50 to 60% of these trees, we want to work with residents and property owners to plant in your neighborhoods. That's our goal. But of course, like if we really kind of run into challenges with getting folks engaged in the My Free Tree process, we know that we can at least get them in and around our neighborhoods with our county partnerships, hopefully with the schools, and any like large employer that you've brought up, Mary Elizabeth. Um, but just for like a general timetable, my goal is to have every single tree, all 500, or I guess it'd be 492 remaining trees for this project. My goal is to have all of their sites identified by July. We will purchase these trees from a number of nurseries in our area in August, and then we will have a completed planting by that spring. So my hope is that by spring 2027, all of these trees are in the ground and are being maintained by us in partnership with the county parks department. That's why I'm really leaning into partnerships with these agencies because we need to ensure that these trees have long-term stewardship. And if the county wants to commit to that, we're going to lean into that relationship because the last thing that I want to see is our work die in 3 years and these funds die in 3 years because the trees didn't get watered, they didn't get pruned properly, they didn't get planted properly. So um, I hope that you guys can at least see the intention behind the decisions we're making. And once we have the MOU, I'm happy to provide it. And I think we will provide it as like a support doc in our grant report. but that will be publicly available for anybody that wants to read it. All right. So I'm gonna get into.
Can
Yeah,
I
go
ask
ahead.
one more question?
Of course.
You would not, would you allow for a palm tree to be planted?
Um, I would. I don't know that the palm trees are generally accepted by like Cal Fire standards definitely do not fund palm trees. They don't offer the GHG reduction that our communities need. Um, but I can look into that if you're interested in palm trees. But generally, we have
No.
never planted palm trees.
No, I just, because you said that, whatever the homeowner wanted, so I'm just reassured to to say no.
Oh yeah, we've had people ask for palm trees. We've had people generally they want fruit trees. That's a hard line for me. And a lot of times our grants do not fund fruit trees, but I think our goal is to help people plant the best tree for their location and for the environment. So we're recommending natives, we're recommending climate resilient trees, drought tolerant trees. Um, and like urban environment trees that are hardy for urban environments. And we do not plant palm trees. I'm also very aware of the species that are overrepresented in our canopy. We have a lot of crepe myrtles and geez, it's a long list. And we recommend alternatives for folks that have similar growth habit, similar, form in the canopy. Like if people really like flowers, we know of the alternatives that we can prioritize. So that's the training that I give to my staff as foresters is like to be very aware of the species that are overrepresented and to give alternatives that are better suited to our climate and environment.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
Have you reached out to any of um, um, the landscaping or contractors to help with maybe collaborate with them, or even developers like Spanos or Groupie that are putting up different developments in certain areas? Maybe some of the you want to have you reached out to anyone that you can use their contractor's license, or they can put you in their project that they're developing? Just a question.
No, we haven't. We haven't done that. We do work with the landscape contractors that we have to engage with. If we plan to add a county park, I fully expect to collaborate closely with their contractors, or I'm still learning their setup, so maybe they even have their own staff that does that work. But that's generally how it works. I kind of feel like a property developer like that should be able to pay for their own landscaping and trees. So I have reservations of offering state-funded trees to like wealthy property developers. I think that what we can better do, what would be a better use of our efforts and time would be to help the city and the county create policy and ordinances that require development to prioritize the type of greening that we need in our community to be climate resilient. That's how cities can ensure that developers plant trees and take care of trees in certain ways. And even I don't know how enforceable things like that are across the country, but that would be my opinion on it. Um, but yeah, like if a property owner wants us to plant trees and they have a landscaper that they work with to take care of all their trees, and I'm kind of thinking about landlords or even, church groups, we'll work with them very closely to make sure that, we're not doing anything that they don't know about.
But I think with the oversight, that's one of the things that's happening because it is a lot of times in the developers, it is in the contract to do that. But then when you look at it, when you go back and look at it, it's not done.
Yeah.
It doesn't get completed.
The
So
enforcement, yeah, enforcement is really hard, especially if the city doesn't have like an urban forester on staff or a city arborist, and there's no policy to for them to like enforce things. That makes it really hard to require developers to do what we need. So, yeah, I would definitely be reluctant to offer trees funded by this source to property developers for their work. I just think that these trees should go to community members who are struggling with heat and air quality and and can't necessarily afford a 15-gallon tree. Like sometimes they cost 200 plus dollars for some of the trees that we plant. That's who we need to prioritize with these funds. But I absolutely hear you and I agree. We need to do more to require developers to prioritize what we need in our neighborhoods.
thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into vegetated barriers. Um, this was something that the Valley Air staff specifically let me know was requested, and I was unable to get Hyphy enough notice for them to come and present themselves. So, if you all want to hear another update in any of the upcoming CSCs, we will have Hyphy present to present on their work. But I'll be sharing the updates that for at least up to June, the work that we're expecting from them. It has been slow going. You know, they're wrapping up a number of projects in the Bay Area. They're having staff kind of have their time opening up to work on Stockton. So where we're at is we're going to have our outreach staff meet with their team to better understand how they've done engagement around vegetated barriers and create an outreach and engagement strategy and plan to do outreach to like those large employers, commercial sites that you were talking about, Mary Elizabeth. Like we're meeting with groups who do this work around the state. So we've met with um, the West, we are in contact with groups like West Oakland Indicators Project, who just installed, are in the process of planting vegetated buffer in the Prescott neighborhood of West Oakland. And that project was done in collaboration with Hyphy Design Lab. We've been in contact with Tree Fresno, who has a unique approach to vegetated barriers where they plant directly on warehouse property um, and have really focused their engagement strategy to business owners to like buy into like being responsible stewards in these neighborhoods and working with Tree Fresno to plant screens around like their polluted like the trucking routes that they have their trucks going and the warehouses. That's a model of success that we are going to try to emulate. But then also, we've encountered residents who live right up against I-5 and right up against the rail lines and have no protection from those sources of pollution. So, we're even looking at vegetated screens that are like backyard scale. But I'm really, before we would ever plant something like that, we would make sure to like really understand what the maintenance of a site like that is. The last thing we want to do is set like a property owner up for like having this huge money suck where they're just not prepared to invest the time or the money to take care of a site. So it's a lot of learning right now. We're not ready to plant any of these, but right now we're expecting Hyphy to help us better understand where we need to focus our efforts. So we expect that in May, in a little over a month and a half, they'll be presenting us with a data prioritization map that will have layers showing leaf area density, so the amount of square footage that is actually got leaf coverage. And that what that does is it helps us see where even if there's trees there, they may not be shade providing trees. So maybe we can, and if those trees are sort of at the end of their lifespan, we can start to plant succession trees that are better suited to provide shade. It'll have a heat map, air quality map that we're expecting they'll be able to pull data from LMR's Dawn program, which works with Ramble and has created a huge network of air quality monitors and sensors. So there's already existing data that they'll be able to pull from, and then socioeconomic data. And this helps guide where we'll focus our efforts to plant these screening sites. And then I talked a little bit about the various scales of the vegetated barriers. Caltrans is we're still, we've kept the dialogue and the relationship going with Caltrans, even though we're sort of not ready to really engage with them because they have a longer permitting process. They need more specific designs for any site. And so we need hyphy to get us there. And so we're holding them accountable and expecting this work to be done in this next quarter so that we can move the ball if we decide we want to plant on Caltrans right away. Um, but like I said, there's these other models out there, like planting on warehouses, that are a lot more streamlined. It just requires an agreement between us, Valley Air District, and the property owner that they'll keep the trees that we plant irrigated. They'll work with us to establish them and, do the initial structural prunes needed to like maximize the canopy coverage. Um, and then we want them to agree to take care of these trees for as long as they live. So we're learning from other agencies on how they're having that conversation. Um, yeah. Any questions on the updates? If not, the last thing, there's two more things here. If you're interested in getting a tree through our program, the My Free Tree program, please take some time to scan the QR code. This takes you to kind of like a big menu of things, but if you click on the My Free Tree interest form and fill that out, we'll reach out to you and schedule a site assessment with you. If you don't have a phone that can scan a QR code, I will put in the chat our program phone number. You can give us a call, and if one of our staff can't pick up, if you leave us a voicemail, they'll call you right back. We could use some help, I think, in engaging with residents. We can go to a lot of tabling events, we can do canvassing, but we really need tree champions. Like we found that once we plant a tree on a street, we end up planting 5 to 10 trees on that street because the neighbors see the work happening and they also need trees, and they just didn't know that the opportunity was there, or the neighbor shares that they've worked with us, and then we're able to plant at a number of sites on that block. So all we really need is 1 or 2 people in on a given block to really improve the canopy coverage across the board. So yeah, please do reach out to us, and we'd love to work with you. And the last thing is, I'm gonna pass the mic to my coworker Brianna Garcia, but I hope this is okay to say here. We're engaged with the city on the climate action plan, and we have an upcoming event coming up, and all of the things we've been talking about as far as city tree ordinances and creating policy that makes urban forestry work uh, more efficient and better designed and planned it comes from this work and adopting and ratifying a climate action plan that will then inform an urban forestry master plan. So I'm going to share the mic with Bree for just a moment. But thank you for your time and hope to work with you all soon on tree plantings.
Yeah, thank you everybody. I just dropped in the chat our interest form for you all to let us know that you're interested in the My Free Tree program. Also, if you are interested in hearing more about our events or our Green Pads training program, feel free to also click those as well. And our phone number is also in the chat as well. So if you don't want to deal with the online form, all good, give us a call. You could deal with a human being, and we are more than happy to work with you in any way that you want us to. Yeah, so thank you, Nico. I think uh, if you all like want to see the city invest in more tree planting efforts, then um, this virtual meeting that's happening Wednesday, April 8th is a great opportunity for anybody who's passionate around trees or the city's infrastructure and like how the city responds to climate change. Then I want to invite you all to join this virtual meeting. The registration link, I will drop it in the chat. And yeah, it's happening next Wednesday, April 8th from 5 to 7 p.m. And I'll pause there for anybody who has questions, and I'll also write in the registration link in the chat.
Praise Mary Elizabeth.
Hi, thank you. Really good to hear all of that about the trees. And I was wondering if you could put in the chat a link to the PDF of the draft plan for review.
Yes. Yeah, I could definitely do that. Let me just pull it up right now. Yeah, so like if you're not able to attend the meeting, but you still want to provide comment, here is the draft online.
Is there
Yeah, and
not a PDF? Is there
the
not a
P
complete PDF that people can search?
oh well
You know,
a PDF, Mary Elizabeth, that's something that I'll have to um uh look further or get access to from either Jasmine or Shalila. But the link that I just put in, it is sort of an online version of the draft plan, and it breaks down the plan's chapters, and then provide feedback. There is a yeah, maybe I could share my screen. Nico, are you?
and Nico, he shared it on there. I don't know, you might have missed it. But a PDF is just so much easier, like when you're searching for things, you want to make connections and, see where it is here and what it says here and, that electronic viewing there is all broken up. The chapters are not connected, so everything is segmented.
Yeah, Mary
So
Elizabeth, we'll find the PDF version and either get it into the chat so that you have access to it, or we'll follow up via email.
Thank you.
You got it. All right. Well, thank you all for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Nico, and thank you so much, Brianna. We appreciate it. And thank you all for the great questions on the trees and vegetative barriers, and we are looking forward to hearing more updates. With that, I'm going to pass it to my colleague, Amy Ramos, who will set us up for the next presentation.
Thank you, Jared, and thank you, Nico. This is Amy Ramos. Good evening, everyone. I'm excited to kick us off for our next agenda item. So we'll be talking about opportunities for residential CERT measures. As you all know, at our last meeting, we had a very fruitful discussion discussing reallocation of funds for the switcher locomotives, and you all expressed interest in learning more about the potential opportunities within the residential CERT measures. So in response to the CSC's request, tonight the Air District will be presenting an overview presentation that provides some highlights of recent funding successes, as well as provides opportunities for upcoming modifications to the implementation of some of the CERT measures. Particularly, they will be highlighting some potential changes to the residential air filtration and vehicle repair programs. The Air District is also going to talk about two proposed decisions that we'll start the conversation on today. No decisions will be made today, but we'll start the conversation and plant the seed for a potential program expansion and a funding reallocation, with the goal of building consensus ahead of our in-person meeting. As we said at the top of the hour, we'll be having our in-person meeting in May, which will give us an opportunity to fully flesh out any details that we might need in advance of that meeting, so that at the in-person meeting in May, we can potentially have a vote if needed. So with that said, as the Air District provides their presentation, please feel free to come off mute, raise your hand, ask your questions in the chat. We'll be monitoring all of those questions. We really want you all to be listening for understanding and really ask questions as we navigate through these highlights, so that you really understand what's at stake for the potential modifications that are coming up. All right, so with that said, I'm going to turn it over to the Air District. Go ahead, Sarah.
Thank you, Amy. Let me share my screen. All right. Oh, next slide. Okay, there we go. Like Amy mentioned, during the last couple of meetings, we talked a lot about the heavy duty projects, and you guys made some exciting decisions to reallocate funding to support a project at the Port of Stockton. Today, we wanted to take some time to go through all the other CERP measures that have funding, and to let you all know about the work we're doing to get that funding out to residents in the community. Most of the CERP measures that have funding are actually residential programs, as you'll see in my slide deck. And we also wanted to go through a couple measures where you all have the opportunity to expand and reallocate money for some grant programs. This isn't a decision-making meeting, but we did want to bring it up, like tee it up, so that we can discuss it more in our next in-person meeting and make some decisions in our next in-person meeting. Before we dive in, I just wanted to share a little bit about the March 21st lawnmower slash vehicle repair slash clean air room event that happened on March 21st. It was at the Stockton Fairgrounds, and we had really good turnout. We had 366 residents come out to exchange their old polluting gas mower for a free electric zero emission mower. And we had 410 residents go through the Tune In, Tune Up vehicle repair program side of the fairgrounds. So we gave out vouchers to that many residents that would like to repair their vehicle, and those would be like emission related repairs. We also signed up 70 residents for our Clean Air Rooms air purifier program. So Cass was out there and she's in the photo on the top, and also Nancy from our team, and they were, walking up and down the lines, handing out flyers and helping folks sign up for our Clean Air Rooms air purifier program. We also had an outreach table where we had flyers for our fireplace change-out program, our vehicle replacement program, and a lot of people stopped by and even just asked us questions about other programs here at the district. The event was so successful. We had hundreds of folks come through, and I just wanted to take a moment to thank you all because I know that you guys help us get the word out when we're hosting these events in the community. So I think these stats are just great, and I just wanted to highlight them before I got into the presentation. All right, so now I'll jump into the SERP updates and start off by showing you all the SERP measures that have funding available right now. Overall, you can see that most of these are residential measures like the residential air filtration program and the vehicle replacement program, but we also have some money left in our school bus replacement program, as well as our electric vehicle charging program. Overall, we have almost $6 million left of funding for all of these programs combined. If you notice, there is one residential program that's not on this list, and that's the Tune and Tune Up Vehicle Repair Program. We had such a successful event on March 21st in the community, and it exhausted all of our funding for the program. So right now we don't have any money left for the Stockton AB617 Tune and Tune Up Vehicle Repair Program. But there are some opportunities that I can talk through towards the end of the presentation where, if you would like, we can shift some money into that program to continue to support it. I'll go through each one of these programs in detail, and I'll start off with the residential wood burning program. So we have $240,000 that we have allocated for this program in the SERP. So far, we have replaced 17 fireplaces within the boundary, and we do have over $168,000 left in the program. So our outreach team has been promoting the program on social media. We also take outreach materials for this program to every outreach event that we do. And we also work with our fireplace retailers to put on show and tell events where they can showcase their inventory, and help residents go through the application process. Some residents like seeing the different options that they can pick from in person. So I think these kind of programs like show and tell events are really helpful to get the word out there for this fireplace replacement program. For the residential lawn and garden program, we did have that lawnmower slash vehicle repair event on the 21st at the fairgrounds, and it was a very successful event. And we're even looking to hold possibly another event in the community in the next couple of months. We just have such good turnout at these events, so we think that that would be beneficial, to hold another event in the community. But until then, we are still going to continue to promote the program on social media like Facebook and Nextdoor. And right now with the springtime, it's when we see a lot of participation in this program as folks are cleaning up their yards, they're planting flowers, they're getting their grass nice. And we want to make sure we keep advertising this program, especially at this time, since folks are out there buying lawn equipment and mowers to keep up with their yard. So right now is a good time for us at the district. We're definitely promoting this program a lot right now. As for the vehicle replacement program, we have a total of $6.8 million allocated to replace old polluting cars with new, less polluting or zero emission vehicles. So far, we have 219 applications in-house. which totals about $3.5 million. And we have about $3.2 million left in the program. Even though this is a large number that's still left in the program, ValleyCan is continuing to hold monthly weeknight workshops, and we're still getting a steady stream in of applications at this time. We and also ValleyCan do outreach on this program on Facebook, on X, Instagram, Nextdoor, and even radio ads. So you might hear about it on the radio as well. So we're definitely getting the word out there, and we're confident that we can get the $3.2 million that's left in this program out to residents in the community. And this is just a flyer of an upcoming program, an upcoming workshop on April 27th from 5:30 to 7:30 at Mountain Mike's on Manthe Road. So if you do know of someone who would like more information on the program, who would like to, maybe stop by and ask questions about how the program works, you can have them call us, or you can direct them to this program in person, and ValleyCan will sit down with the resident and actually help them, walk through the application process. So I think these are really great programs that we have in the community every month. All right. We also have money left in our school bus replacement measure. Out of the $4 million, we've replaced 10 school buses, which equals a little over $2.7 million. And those school buses went to Stockton Unified School District to add to their electric school bus fleet. So with the 10 buses that we funded, they have a total of 63 electric buses. Their goal is to go all electric. So we are hoping that they do this, but we did speak to them recently, and they let us know that they are at capacity with their electric school bus fleet right now, as they need some infrastructure to charge their buses before they can commit to adding more electric school buses to their fleet. Since we do have $1.2 million left in the measure that the Stockton Unified School District won't take advantage of for school buses, we in the next meeting could talk about possibly shifting that funding that would have gone to buses to support the electric school bus chargers. So they're like heavy duty EV chargers, so that they can charge more buses and have the capacity to get more electric buses in the future. Like I mentioned earlier, this isn't a decision we need to make today. I just wanted to bring it up so that we can discuss it in the next in-person meeting.
This is Margot. Is that some of the infrastructure that they've said they need?
Yeah, so we did reach out to them. We let them know we have $1.2 million left if they'd like to apply for some more electric buses. And they said that they can't at this time since they don't have the capacity to charge them. So then we were thinking we can shift some of that money to charging, so that, if we fund $1.2 million of chargers for them, then they can grow their electric fleet on their own.
I guess
Yeah.
what I mean is that is that the main infrastructure issue, or do they need like property, or do they need like place to put them, or have they said anything, or is it just the chargers that they need?
They didn't mention anything about property. They just mentioned the chargers themselves.
Huh.
Yeah. I think they have land where they can put them. They already have infrastructure right now because they do have 63 buses. But buses take some time to charge, so I think they just need more chargers so that they can charge more buses.
Dr. Farrell, did they state how much the charges would cost?
They did not. We are planning to hopefully invite Jermaine to, Jermaine is from Stockton Unified, to our next in-person meeting so we can talk to him more about exactly how much. But in regards to infrastructure, 1.2 million will get them a couple chargers. So we could think about, supporting them with those couple chargers if we do want to shift that money over to infrastructure for them. And we can ask them more questions in person too in the next in-person meeting.
Do you know if those buses are at the point where they can, you know how they have vehicles now that they use the charge while they're driving, but they can also replace the charge and then they can put it back into the system when they're parked? You know, those whatever, I don't know what they call that, but there's a thing, you know.
Oh, like regenerative braking,
Yeah,
maybe?
where it's a completes the circle, so the excess charge can go back into the system because it's been it gets replaced and then it goes back into the system. And then if the lights go out, then you have battery backup kind of thing. Do the buses not do that?
We can add that maybe harder team as an action item to reach out to Stockton Unified to see how their buses operate.
There's a
and
word
get,
for that. I can't think of it. Yeah, thank you.
yeah.
Thank you, Marco. This is Amy. We'll add that and then we'll make sure to check in with them before the next CSC meeting. Sarah, I think Mary Elizabeth has her hand raised. Go ahead,
Oh,
Mary.
yeah.
Hi, I just was wondering if it might be possible to get that information before the meeting about how much it would cost and where they would put it, and so that it's not just a verbal discussion, that it's somebody can't make the meeting, or somebody wants to look at the information in advance, rather than asking us to move money. And I think that happened at a port meeting about the bike lanes and moving some money around, or something. I recall, and I just but also yeah, it was moving more money into the automobile. And I just don't think that we should, be planning on making decisions like that, in person, without information in advance. So you're like broaching the information now, then the next meeting we get all the details, and then the next meeting after that we'd be ready to vote. That's my understanding of how that works, that process.
This is Amy. Thank you, Mary Elizabeth, for that suggestion. We'll make sure to reach out to them and see if we can get those responses in advance. Brian Moore in the chat provided clarification on some terminology. So it sounds like what Margo was referring to may be bidirectional charging. I'm also seeing that Janine has her hand raised and maybe she can inform us more on this topic.
Hi, yes. Thank you, Brian. I was going to jump in and add a little bit of terminology there too, but you beat me to that. But I believe that Stockton Unified buses their existing buses, at least a majority of them, are not of this technology type. They were added to the fleet over several years past. They've been adding each year. And this hasn't been a technology type that was real common in our earlier school buses, zero emission school buses. Maybe some of their newer ones do, but it's not a technology type that I'm familiar with in the most common zero emission school buses currently. More so in lighter duty vehicles and other types of equipment.
But she just stated that the $1 million would be sufficient. So what is up with that? If you already know a cost, and now you're saying we're having to come in and explain the cost, what is the difference? Dr. Farrell is speaking.
Sarah, I don't know if you want to take that or if you want me to address it.
Yeah, this is Sarah. We can get more information for you all from Jermaine from Stockton Unified to see how many chargers the $1.2 million can support. When talking to him earlier this week, he let us know, that he can't take on new electric buses, but that the $1.2 million could be beneficial for charging infrastructure. So we'll just get some more details from him and let you all know before the next meeting exactly how many how many chargers the $1.2 million could support if we do decide to move that to school bus chargers.
This is Amy. Thank you, Sarah. Dr. Farrell, did you have another question?
Yes. Is there any other grants, funding sources through the state, federal, that the public, state public education can assist them with those charges?
Sarah, this
Yes,
is
thank you, Janine.
The power companies do have some programs still currently available. In most of those programs, though, they do require the purchase of buses to go along with the installation of chargers. So we would have to see timing wise where Stockton Unified is at, if they could take advantage of those. They are in many cases stackable with our funding. And we always look when we're doing these types of infrastructure projects, we always look to see if we can stack the programs because it just makes the dollars stretch further, right? So we always work with our infrastructure applicants to see if the power company, whether, whichever is in their area, has a program that is available for them that would help cover some of the costs. And if we can stack, and if that is all true, then we help them make that connection and work with the power company to get both programs going.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janine. And Janine is here supporting us from our grants department. I don't think I introduced her, but she's here and she does the school bus. She worked on school bus program and tune in, tune up, and the clean air rooms, air purifier program, as well as others. So thank you, Janine.
Aren't you heavy duty trucks as well, Janine?
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of have my fingers in just about every cookie jar we've got, so. Except for the urban greening. That was a very interesting presentation because I don't know much about that one. So really glad to be able to listen to that.
Thanks, Janine. All right, I'll move on to our Tune in, Tune Up vehicle repair program. This is a program where we provide smog emission tests to vehicles and a voucher of $850 to repair emission-related issues with those vehicles. This is a very popular program, as I mentioned earlier. Our Stockton AB617 vehicle repair program is currently out of funding. So you all originally allocated the $300,000 to this measure. And since we've had so many successful events and interest and so many residents redeeming vouchers, then we have exhausted all of the money. We do, though, have the option to shift some funds from our EV charging infrastructure program to, and from our school air filtration program to support opening this program back up to get some more cars repaired. The 220,000 from the EV charging infrastructure program, I just wanted to clarify, this is not from a heavy duty charging infrastructure program like what we would need for school buses. This is for more light duty chargers that you would charge your own car with. Sometimes you would see them like at the grocery store or at the mall. So these are like more public chargers for light duty vehicles. So right now, like I said, this program is closed, but in the next meeting, we can always discuss and make a decision on shifting some money to open this program back up if this is something that you guys would like. I guess, Mary Elizabeth?
Sorry, I just I mean, the school air filtration, that's over, and we just took money from there. It was just a bucket. But this EV charging, and I still have some hope that we can get some parking lots, to use that downtown, or in South Stockton, in some neighborhood parks, maybe. And I know there's always a fear, well, it's there, then, it's going to get destroyed. And, but I just, I think that this $300,000 should come from some of that new car money. So we moved a whole bunch of money over into the new car money. And, there's a lot of people that can't afford it, like the everything, but could really benefit with getting their existing car cleaned up. And since these are, these are polluting cars, that we're cleaning up, I think that would be a valid use. So I like when you come back with all of that to vote, I'd like for, some consideration for that, please.
Thank you,
This
Mary.
is Margot. Mary, I didn't quite follow that. Are you saying that we should, it seemed to me you were saying that we should like think a little more about charging monies, but the school air monies can be moved around. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and that instead of taking the 220 from the EV charging, to take the 220 from the EV new vehicles. That still has like $3 million in.
Yeah, thank you.
This is Amy. Thank you for that clarification, Mary Elizabeth. Hector, go ahead.
Hi, Sector. So with me, I think this is a very successful program as far as the tune in, tune up. And I think it really targets some of the most polluting vehicles on the road. And it really, if you think about it, it's really beneficial for the residents. If, the issue is if you can't get your car smogged, then you're just going to keep driving it without ever meeting that standard. They can run to the risk of, you can't get your tags, and then you're behind on your tags, and then, eventually your car's going to get towed. So it goes a long ways to really build up some equity for people that are really disadvantaged, because the cascade of events that can happen is more than just getting your car smogged. It could really put people in a financial bind if they can't get smogged, if they can't get insurance, if they can't get, their tags up to date. It can really lead to a lot of harmful consequences that overall can affect their quality of life. So, this small thing as far as helping people to get their cars to meet emission standards can go a long ways and really help out in other areas. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Hector. Appreciate that. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you, Hector and Mary and Margot. We can look into other programs where we can shift some funds to support the Tune and Tune Up program. Right now, our vehicle replacement program is very popular. We're still getting a lot of applications in. Our monthly mountain Mike meetings that Valley Can puts on, they're still very well attended. And we try to steer away from pulling money from programs that are popular and that people are applying for, and where we have a need for that money in those programs. But we can look at other SERP measures to see if there's any other opportunities. Right now, for the EV chargers, we have 27 units in the community so far. So that equals so we spent $155,000 in the community, but like I said, we do have that $220,000 remaining. Maybe before our next meeting in Harder and Co, we can add this as an action item. We can make sure to do outreach to a lot of those parking garages and parks that Mary mentioned, maybe some like some supermarkets I see have the chargers, just to see what the entities are thinking. We have done outreach, we do reach out to businesses to see if they would like to install these chargers, but maybe we can do a little bit more and actually, document that outreach and share what the businesses are saying about maybe some boundaries or some blocks that they have for installing these chargers. Maybe that'll help us make a better informed decision before we move any money away from EV charging infrastructure. And I'll move on to residential air filtration. So far, we have given out over 2,000 units in the community boundary. So we have $1 million allocated for this program, and we have a little under $600,000 left. I know we've been talking about this program lately, and I just wanted to hand it over to Heather from our outreach team to talk about some exciting outreach updates for this air purifier program.
Hello, everyone. This is Heather back again. Nice to be back. So if you recall last time, we got fantastic feedback from all of you. Thank you so much for all the work we've done in this space in the last few months. We designed the postcard, and I am excited to tell you that they should be hitting your mailboxes this weekend. Which means about 20,000 people will be getting a postcard. We certainly can't do the entire boundary, and we have to work with the parameters of some of the way zip codes land. But so don't be alarmed if like someone or you personally didn't get one. I know several of you got one last time, but they're gonna hit mailboxes. We hope the swell occurs again where people get interested. We did a couple of things on that postcard that I think are helpful. Put the logo right on the front, right by the free air purifier part. I think last time maybe folks just were, certainly in general, we have discussed more than once how people are a little bit in disbelief. And so I think now you can go online, you can see our logo, you can see that that's a real entity. We have a beautiful website. So hoping that generates more interest. At the same time, we're also putting ads on social media. So in the Meta space, which is Instagram and Facebook, we're delivering ads geographically to the boundary footprint and to the details that hopefully will catch eyeballs of folks living in the boundary and get more of these into the homes of the community. Caveat, we experienced this last time. I'm hoping it's still just a handful of folks. There's just a handful of the way our boundary gets cut that it's possible one or two of these actually hit a mailbox of someone outside the boundary. We'll see how that goes. I worked hard to sort of avoid that. But all things to be said, we should have a good pace right now. It's springtime. People are aware of air quality, certainly of allergies and things. And I think, we might, and then of course, the physical units, thank you, Mary Elizabeth, that we're going to take with us that are also visual. We discussed that. I'm thinking we're going to make some headway, some good progress.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Heather. Exciting news that this postcard will be hitting mailboxes soon.
Literally.
Literally this weekend. All right, some other things in regards to the Clean Air Room program. A couple of months ago, we discussed expanding the program to include daycares and senior centers, and our grants team is working through all the logistics to get that part of the program running. So we hope to see that in the next couple of months. In addition, something new that I wanted to bring up is that several of our other AB617 communities have discussed expanding. Oops, oh, I hit the wrong button. There we go. Expanding the program to allow residents to apply for 2 air purifiers per household. So currently, our program allows for 1 air purifier per household. So this would allow for an additional unit. This is also something that we could discuss and vote on in our in-person meeting. Something I wanted to mention is that this would be a program expansion, so it wouldn't need a reallocation of any funds to support this program, as we still have over $500,000 left in the residential air filtration program. So it would be that same pot of money. It would just be an expansion to allow for 2 air purifiers per household instead of 1. So that's something that we can discuss in our next meeting. In this slide, I just wanted to summarize and lay out some options that I brought up in this PowerPoint that we can make decisions on in our in-person meeting on May 6th. We can discuss reallocating some funding to support the Tune-In Tune-Up vehicle repair program. Right now it's out of funding. So if you guys decide to reallocate funds, we can open it back up and start issuing vouchers for that program again. We can also discuss expanding the Clean Air Rooms program to allow for the 2 air purifiers per household. This would not need a reallocation, but it does require a decision from you all, from the CSC, as it will mean we have to modify our currently approved 1 air purifier per household program with CARB. So that we would take a vote on that as well, even though we're not moving money. And then the third thing we can do is discuss and decide if we want to shift some funding from the electric school buses to support the electric school bus infrastructure for Stockton Unified. Before our next meeting, we can get you all some more information on exactly how much Stockton Unified or how many chargers the $1.2 million could support at Stockton Unified, so that we can make a better informed decision on if we want to move money to support those EV chargers. And before I close it off, I wanted to go through some next steps that will be coming up soon. I wanted to thank you all for working with us to make a lot of progress on moving various SERP measures forward. You all helped with, over the years, you helped with developing project plans, developing requests for proposals for our urban greening and our vegetative barrier SERP measures. You all have made decisions on where you would like to see funding reallocated to support SERP measures. And overall, I think the Stockton AB617, it's not, I think they are on, you guys are on track. You guys are on track. We have many SERP measures with funding, but we're working with our outreach team to get the word out on all of our open programs, and we'll continue to bring funding reallocations to you all when we see opportunities to shift funds or to expand any of the programs. Our SERP is a 5-year plan, and we're actually coming up on our 5th year this July. So that came up very fast. And we will continue to work with you all on all our SERP commitments and to work with you all to make any adjustments like those funding reallocations or program expansions as needed. Once July 2026 comes up, we will still continue our air monitoring in the AB617 community, and we'll continue to bring you all quarterly air monitoring updates. We'll also continue updating our SERP tracker on a monthly basis so you guys can track the progress that's being made on all the SERP measures. And we'll continue to have meetings. So we will transition from our monthly regular scheduled monthly meetings to quarterly meetings. But these meetings will still be stipendable, and they will still happen, but just on a quarterly basis. So just because we're coming up on the 5th year doesn't mean that we will go away or that we'll stop meeting. Like I said, we'll continue our air monitoring. We'll work through all our grant programs and commitments that we have in the SERP, and we'll still hold CSC meetings, though they'll just be on a quarterly basis now. And now I'll open it up to any questions or feedback.
I have a question about the air filters. Do we have the period of time, how long they run, and then are we considering giving another filter to the ones that already have them, or the existing newer air the filter itself?
Sarah, you want me to take that one?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I think I understand what you're asking about, the filter panel that goes inside the device. Am I understanding you correctly?
Correct.
Yeah. So depending on how often they run their device, would depend on how frequently they have to change that. It can go up to 6 months if they're using it intermittently, such as they turn it on when they get home from work and school, they let it run in the evening and maybe during the night while they're sleeping. So say half the day, as opposed to maybe somebody who is home all day and is running it 24/7, they may have to replace that a little bit more frequently. Also, if they have pets in the house, and I've learned this lesson myself as I run my air filters, I have cats inside my house as well as dogs, and my filter panels will need to be changed much more frequently because that fine pet hair gets pulled in by the purifier as well. So there is a bit of a range, but it can be anywhere usually between 3 to 6 months. The box comes with 2 sets of filter panels, so one to get them started and then a replacement set as well. And then we provide, well, I shouldn't say we, our vendor has provided a coupon discount code for folks when they get ready to repurchase. When I recently looked it up for a resident, it works out, the sticker price of those filters is not a real easy pill to swallow. It is a little pricey even with the discount, but knowing how long the filter lasts, if you look at it on a monthly cost, it actually works out to be about $5.50 per month for the filter cost. So, if a little planning is done, most people hopefully could afford that easily. Currently, our approved project plan does not allow for just filter purchase alone. It is for the entire device plus the filter. So we wouldn't be able to, at this point, use any of the funds to just buy replacement filters for folks that already have devices. I hope I covered your question. If not, please let me know.
No, that's good. I think that we need to get that information out because some people, they don't really check the filters or they wash them or something and they think they're doing good, but we don't want to bring no more harm to anyone. We want to make sure that they have the information for the filters and that they know that they can go out and get another filter for $60, $70 or something, so that's just my concern is that we stay in tune with the people who have them and let them know that how long they last and how long and what they need when they need to be replaced.
Yes, I do know the devices do have a warning indicator light on them when the filter needs to be replaced. So hopefully if they keep their instruction book, they can see that notification light come on and have that information. We also provide them with the coupon code. When they apply for the program, they get an email receipt back from us, which includes a variety of information. And we have had efforts in the past for some of our early adopters of the devices that would have hit their 1 year or more mark already, that we have sent out information to them about the coupon code, about purchasing replacement filters, and provided them links back to some of our other website locations for additional information. So we try to do that periodically to catch folks that might be at the end of their existing filters life and in that position of needing to start looking at purchasing new ones.
Great.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question, Stacey. I'm a resident. I was just wondering if we're able to have some type of like flyer or pamphlet that is able to be disseminated when, say, if a participant does the tune up, that they're also eligible for these other programs as well. You could also get an air purifier, or maybe if you want to know about the My Free Tree, also there's this piece and this piece since you live in our AB617 area, something like that available. That way we can cross outreach across everything.
This is just to clarify, you're asking for a flyer that has multiple programs on it, not an individual.
Yeah, right. Just an all encompassing, here are other things you could also be eligible for, something like that. Now that it has created a touch point, say, for example, with that, was it 417 participants at the recent event? Which event was this? Sorry, I think it was at the
Yeah.
fairgrounds. You know, that was a touch point there with all those people that went, where they could have learned easily about what other things they could have qualified for. And I think that would have been a great opportunity to see if they haven't already received the air filter. Perfect chance, you know, just thinking.
So Sarah, I believe, did we not have, we had staff out there handing out information, correct, on our other programs and signing up folks for air filters and such?
We did, yes. So as folks were going through to get their lawnmower, there was a long line as they had to go through, say, 366 folks. And so as they were waiting, we did give out information on our Clean Air Rooms air purifier program. And then we also, Valley Can also had a tent for our vehicle replacement program. And then we also had a booth where we had other outreach material as well to talk about our fireplace program and other residential programs as well. So we definitely do try to do that when we see opportunities where we'll have a lot of residents in one area, like the lawnmower event. We try to get out as much information as we can.
Is it multiple, or are there several sheets going to them? I'm just thinking, like, as someone coming up to a table,
Yeah.
How much information is being given to me? And I'm just wondering maybe if like a one pager is available. It just might be something easier to digest.
It
I
is.
remember they did have one that included a lot of the incentives that they had. I don't know if we still have it or not, but we did have one.
Yes, and Rocio just popped one into the chat.
And thank you, this is Heather. Thanks, Sarah. Oh, and thank you, Rocio. Stacey, I'm hearing something though, and we've talked about this at one point, and we definitely cross promote all the time. But I do think I'm going to do some digging with Janine and the team and see about follow up on the emails that we get, those points of information, and maybe we can dedicate this general use flyer, or one that's sort of up. We've invested some time recently on updating a lot of the AB617 stuff based on what's available and what is happening in each of your communities. But would be happy to update the flyer that she put in the chat and still do that crossover, but with emails and some of the communication to the folks coming through the program in the community currently. So yes, easy cross point that we can go back to. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just right. Thank you. I was just thinking with all the new changes that we've had and all the opportunities that are coming, and maybe something updated would be helpful too.
Appreciate the suggestion. Yep, we'll be on it. Thank
you.
That would be awesome. Thanks, Heather. And thanks, Stacey.
Great conversation. So we'll make sure to add that to the action item so that we can keep track of it and potentially review it at our next meeting. Anything else coming up for folks? Any general questions or feedback based on what the Air District has presented tonight? Okay, I'm going to interpret the silence and lack of hands raised as no questions at this time. So we have definitely noted several action items that we'll come back to at our next in-person meeting. At this time, we're going to transition to wrapping up our meeting. We did have a little abnormal shift in today's agenda in that we started with standing updates instead of ending with them. But I want to make space for anyone else that has an update that maybe you arrived late and weren't able to share. So this is an opportunity for any agency folks to provide any updates for folks in the boundary or for events that are happening in the boundary. Brian, go ahead.
Oh, thanks, Amy. So earlier, this is Brian from CARB. I mentioned earlier our staffing changes with bringing on Sarah. What I failed to mention is that actually later this month, I'll be transitioning over to our toxics and transportation division at CARB. So I'm moving out of the AB617 program. So yeah, don't know broken hearts. I'm still going to be around. But I just want to say it's been amazing work with you all and seeing Stockton. I came on right when the program started, seeing how the air district has progressed and Stockton being one of our, communities from the first couple of years. It's been amazing to see your work, and you have awesome community members. I will say my favorite ones out of all of them. Don't tell anybody else. But the work you've done has been awesome. It's been really, a life-changing thing to work in this program, and I'll always be around to help out with it. I'm not moving far, so I'm going to put my email in here. And if any of you have any questions about anything related to CARB, even with AB617 stuff, because I kind of have some historical knowledge of it, please feel free to continue to reach out to me. I'll be doing a lot of port work, so I may cross paths with you all in the future as well. I just want to say thanks again for everything, and feel free to reach out with any questions or concerns in the future. And we'll get Sarah onboarded too, and you will forget that I even existed a little bit because you guys are making such awesome progress. So thanks again.
Thank you, Brian, for the update, and congratulations on the shift.
Congratulations.
Yes. And we know that you will have just as much or a bigger impact in the new program that you'll be working with. Heather, I see your hand raised.
Yes, thank you. This is Heather. I just wanted a quick second to acknowledge that I've had the chance to work with Brian for the past, however long we've been doing this, 7 years, more than 7 years. And one thing that's always stood out to me is that he never wavers. He brings tenacity, a positive attitude, a level of communication that keeps things moving even when the path isn't easy for us. And he's stayed focused on this work and hasn't lost momentum despite our obstacles. It's been a pleasure working alongside of him, and I'm excited to see where else he can get his hands on things in CARB and make things better for those of us that live in this state. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian. I want to echo that. You will be missed.
Mary Elizabeth.
I thank you, Brian, and he's going to be with one of our other ones, Scott, and so that we grow them up here, and they're going to be doing good things. I wanted to bring up a couple of things that can be for action item. One is I was recently doing some review on brownfields, and I discovered that US EPA did a Title V inspection, and talking with some folks there at EPA and Cal EPA, the Air District would have been notified of those inspections and all of those violations at the California Ammonia Company. And I think we need to have a conversation about, how we can be better equipped to monitor those things and to communicate with our community, because some of the violations that they found there were significant and impacting potentially, a large area of Stockton. And when we're not notified of those violations and hear it, read about it 6 months after the fact, when we have this meeting and we have a regulatory element and we have the port outreach, and I just would like to have that to come up. And also I put a little notice in there that all your Thanksgiving Brian might pass up in the chat, but for there's a like a power mapping that Saving Our Legacy and Concrete Inc. are hosting at the Restore the Delta facility in Stockton on the 7th. So I put that in there, and I hope to maybe see some more of you. I know it's going to be about, my tobacco stuff that I do, but it has broad extensions into other areas that we're working on. So it'd be good training for us all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mary Elizabeth. It's always so important to have these updates that everyone can take advantage of and learn and collaborate and ensure that you're bringing that collective impact to your community. So appreciate your time. If you would like to click on that link, you can scroll on the chat and you'll see that Mary Elizabeth has placed a link to registering for that event. So with that said, as we mentioned earlier, we will be having our next meeting in person. So we get to see each other in the flesh. Our human bodies will all be in the same space. So it's scheduled for Wednesday, May 6th. It'll be scheduled to start at the same time. We do hope that folks can arrive a little bit early so that we can all have some time to eat dinner before we dive into the activities that will start promptly at 5 o'clock. As you heard Sarah mention during the Air District's presentation, the Air District is proposing some ideas for enhancements to the residential CERT measures, including what was discussed today, which is the residential air filtration program expansion and potentially the residential vehicle repair program, and then having some discussion about reallocation of funds for the EV school buses, pending some of the action items that you all discussed today. So those will be the main topics that we'll talk about, and hopefully we have some time to actually take a vote in person and have all of your answers to the questions that you brought up today. As Rocio mentioned at the top of the hour, there will be food provided, and she provided some options. If you later think of anything else that you would like to recommend, please feel free to reach out to Rocio with your recommendations. Before we wrap up tonight's meeting, just want to open it up for public comment. Right, I'm also checking our live stream. As you know, we do stream these meetings on YouTube to make sure that we provide access to the public. I'm not seeing any comments there. And I'm not seeing any comments in the chat or any hands raised. So we will be sending you the action items from today's meeting via email. Dr. Farrell, did you have a question or comment?
No.
Okay. All right, well, I'm just about to wrap up the meeting since there is no public comment. We will now close tonight's meeting. Thank you all for your feedback and for your suggestions for tonight. Really appreciate how engaged and active everyone in this community is. And I'm really looking forward for all of us to be in the same space together next month. So thank you and have a good evening. Go enjoy the daylight that's still out there.